You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good game. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, this is AFTERBUZZ TV for Shameless. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest Shameless news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off, and the buzz continues.
Welcome, everybody. For those of you watching live right now, you can't see me because Spicy Mari, my co-host, and Ronnie Jr., my other co-host, wouldn't let me because they're much better looking than me.
Not true.
No
not
way.
true.
Actually, here I am. I'm in the booth, but I have to run the show. But nevertheless, we're back for Shameless, and I know we didn't do it Sunday as we should have, unfortunately. But hey, that's all the more reason we're gonna have a great show, right, guys?
We have no shame to our game.
Yeah.
We can do it any day of the week.
Oh boy, let's get into it. I love this show now, man.
This is
Showtime.
the second season of Shameless, and we are so happy for its comeback. Let's start off with talking about our initial thoughts. As a true,
So many thoughts when you watch a show like this,
I know,
Mari,
and I'm so happy
Phil.
that I was able to bring, as you can see straight across from me, Ronnie Jr. In the building, RJ Andrews, because I'm trying to convert you, am I not, to a Shameless fanatic like myself?
Well, I mean, you love the show. Phil watched, all of season 1, and you hate to be the one that admits, yes, I'm the newbie to the show. And I watched so many shows, being at AfterBuzz, and I'm hearing about this show. Actually, Marcy, who did X Factor with us, she was like, you've got to check out this show, Shameless. So I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to expect out of it. I have no idea. Then you kind of gave me the overview. I watched a couple trailers, and Phil, I don't know if you think the first episode was the most incredible or not.
You know what I will say? Here's what it always comes down to. We have these, for those listening right now who were listening to us in the first season, it always came down to one word, and that was shameless.
Right.
These people are shameless.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
There's no better way to describe it.
And do you remember your first time watching it, Phil? Like, I think you've seen the show, so you're like, okay, I know what I'm going to get.
Right, we know what to expect.
I think any person who watches it for the first time, and this is my recruiting for others who are like, I don't know if I'm going to really get on this show. I watched it and I was like shaking. Like the two words you could use is shameless, and you're gonna be shaking a little. I mean, it was super fun and edgy, and like what the heck was gonna go on.
You
and
were like rolling around like, whoa,
I
this
think
is why you watch this. I get it.
when we watch it, you want to rewind it. You want to see what you just saw, and it's the no shame to their game. And I mean, this character, William H. Macy, I mean, is phenomenal. And I want to say like he's the one. But it's like so well rounded. I mean, Fiona, Emmy Rossum. I'm not sure how you would say that.
Well, and I will say this, for those of you who remember, we had Cameron Monaghan, who plays Ian from the show, he was actually one of our first AfterBuzz guests.
That's
and,
right. I didn't put the two and two together.
Yeah, and I've kept my relationship with him, not because he's actually a very, very nice guy. For those of you who remember, super nice. And, they actually watched the show, all of them together, or at least tried to as much as they can over at William Macy's house.
The cast does that?
The cast does that.
That's so
and
nice.
And so...
They're like the AfterBuzz family. We watch
Yeah.
our shows together.
That's right. And so I'm excited for this season specifically because, Cameron and I are planning, or at least, we're going to plan to have them try to come here. As
Love
many
to
of
have
them. I would love
Or
that.
we can go there. We'll go watch the show with them.
Why not?
Whichever's easier.
Will let us in.
And he's the Ian character, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Lot on this show about him too, so that'll be interesting.
So you were asking, you brought up our thoughts about this first episode. Now, because I am a huge fan, I'm going to be 10 times more critical than you seeing it
Who was just
for the
shaking.
first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you may have had like a mini orgasm this time, but usually I have
Definitely
like
a
a
semi.
gigantic one every time I watch this show.
Yeah.
And so starting
Phil,
off,
do you go through that experience as well?
I definitely do. Spicy, go say what you're gonna say, because then I want to go off
you're
of that.
probably going to agree with me on this. I expected more. I expected a bigger burst. I expected to see a continuation, yes, of what happened last season, but to have more shock effect and more shock value, because every single episode was so consistent last season with the progression of the show. And this one was just a little bit more flat than usual. It was
Okay.
fun. It was cute, but I would have loved to bring you in and have you see a different one for the first time. I just expected a little bit more. How did you feel, Phil?
All right. Well, here's what I will say about that. I mean, I didn't get that impression. Was it the greatest episode I've ever seen? No, but it was a nice, fun episode to get me back into the mood of Shameless and look forward to this whole season as a whole. Again, the fun part is, it actually sucks. Is, if I had the whole DVD set, I would go through it 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the end.
Yeah.
And that's what it made me feel like. I want to watch episode 2 now.
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
So again, it wasn't
where
the
it left
greatest
you.
episd, but it was a fun episode to come back in on.
I
Ronnie?
am definitely at that point where I'm like, okay, I watched it. It was Sunday, and I'm like counting the days. Like, okay, we're barely at half the week. I need to get
want
to Sunday
more.
because I do want to know what's going to happen. Especially when I talk to people like yourself. You guys. I talked to Marcy on the text message also, and she's like, "Oh, dude, you haven't seen nothing." Like she kind of said the same deal. You haven't really seen a lot, which I think credit to this show. Maybe this show is one of those things where it is catching that big buzz, and they know a lot of people are trying to dive into it or
Yeah,
learning
and that's
about
what
it.
I felt.
So maybe they did this episode specifically for Ronnie. I mean, not
They
necessarily.
did. I think it was more for you so that you
The new
can get a
people.
grasp of what's going
Yeah.
on. And someone like me who's a fanatic, I have to
Yeah.
wait till the next one to actually dig in
You know,
there.
and when I watch shows like this, I definitely have that. I don't have ADD, but I got that. Oh God, my mind goes 100 different miles an hour, and I have a trouble, focusing sometimes. And this show, I really, after the first 4 minutes, I was so drawn into like what everyone was doing. The fact that they just go for theirs, no matter what, at all cost. I mean, it's just like they're making it happen. The dynamic with the oldest daughter. I mean, obviously there's some physicality about her that's being seen every episode.
Fiona.
Phil was talking about how great that was. And then there's the sex. There's a lot of sex on the show too, so that's always gonna draw you in. I mean, dude,
Showtime's good for that.
I watch these shows that are on like, no offense, but CBS, and I'm just, I hadn't really went here yet, so I'm excited that I did for the first time, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, why don't we I wanted to kind of break down this show, start with the lesser plot lines, and then
Okay.
build to the big ones. So why
Yeah.
don't we, always good for comic relief, Joan Cusack as the character of Sheila,
Yeah.
and I want to talk about her household. Obviously, a big thing. Eddie's dead, and by the way, I love how they open up this whole season with the poster of like Eddie
Right.
missing or dead or something like that. And whatever, the guy just shamelessly puts a poster over that for a concert with the fist up.
Yeah.
And leave it to Frank to call him inconsiderate for leaving his family. Frank had the audacity.
Of course,
Off
at
his
the bar.
rocker. What
He
is
kills
wrong with this guy?
himself, and he's like, how the audacity of him to kill himself
Yeah.
and leave his family to feed themselves. Frank, what are you doing? You're doing the exact same thing. You might as well kill yourself.
And when
By the way, hold on. Sorry, not to cut you off. Did you notice how he said family of 3, including himself, in that whole thing? Like, that was nuts.
So he really is he has no idea what's going on. I tried to make sense when I was watching it of like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Why would he say this to this person? There is nothing
It has
consistent.
a warped idea of reality. He takes no accountability for anything that he does, and that's why he's always constantly getting every single family member in trouble.
He's just, he's the mess that you want to watch.
But I think he is what ties them all together because they each one have their own dysfunction going on while they're doing their shameless acts. Each have their personal lives.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they all have to regroup, get together to once again
to back him up for his
save
mistakes.
Frank from himself.
And do they, as the kids, you guys, do they back him? Do they support him? Do they just kind of wash him off like that is who he is? I mean,
They have to.
There's an unrespecting, is that a word, unrespecting? Because
It is now.
It's not disrespecting. There's a lack of respect for their father whom they love. So
Okay.
they don't respect him as a man or as a human being, but they still adore him and love him, and they accept him for being the mistake on earth that he is.
So you got this crazy mistake, and then he's in the household with Sheila, who's obviously just as weird and crazy. Does
Yeah.
he put himself higher? Like, does he like judge her? Because I almost felt that a little bit too.
I don't feel like he does. I feel like he accepts her for her condition, and he uses it to his advantage so that he can benefit from it.
Does he play her in any way, you think?
Phil, what would you say about that? How do you think that he feels about her? Is it authentic? Does he have a love for her?
I think he loves her, but it's also conditional upon, like, that's the whole thing. We see, Sheila's making the steps forward. Today it's 100, next day it's 108, whatever. And the goal is to get to his bar so she can hang out with him, but obviously that doesn't work for him because she'll find out that he's just a drunkard.
Yeah.
So
This is true. And he's getting a little disgruntled because his breakfast isn't there for him in the morning. And everybody who has drunk before knows you got to have breakfast in the morning or
Yeah.
you just go nuts. Hangover.
I don't even know what it's like in that house because I could not believe I hadn't watched the previous season, but he did have sex with that daughter.
He did.
Who now she's going to a sex rehab situation.
Right.
She hadn't done that before.
She's dating an older guy now.
She's dating everybody, maybe. Type of a deal.
I guess you're supposed to be abstinent in this sex therapy session that she's having, but is she really? We don't know. Has she changed her ways?
So he's in this house with the woman who's taking care of him, so to speak. He's living there, and a girl that's underage that he hooked up with.
Right. And Phil
Wow.
is he? I was gonna say, is Frank clueless? What's the mom's name?
The mom's name is
mom, Sheila.
Is Sheila clueless to the fact still that Frank slept with her?
Oh, she's so clueless.
Yeah.
She doesn't have
So
the. She doesn't.
everybody ever seen
she
this
doesn't have the
YouTube video
comprehension.
except for him, except for her.
Of course, her biggest worry is preparing the food, and if people don't show up to eat, that's fine, but she's still going to prepare it on time, and then trying to progress every day out into the world. That's her only goal. She's a very simple character.
Like, does she even know that her husband's dead? She's just, yeah.
And she's okay with it. We didn't really see a reaction from her in regards to it.
Yeah. Good comic relief, like you said.
Here's what I would say is it's very metaphoric of she's very cut off from the outside world, chosen. You know what I mean? She's trying to get back into the world with every step she takes, but she's that far away from it. It's symbolic.
And a little bit of her she's the only one who doesn't know how bad Frank is. Everybody else sees it except for her. So she's like the perfect person if he's going to take advantage of anybody to take advantage of her.
Yeah.
Because everybody around him knows exactly what's going on with him.
He could fool one person and it's her.
Right.
You
Even
know?
his youngest of children have adapted to his reckless lifestyle.
I do love the way the daughter, the youngest daughter, she's like
running
a
a
little,
daycare.
she's like a little grown up kid, like a little. She's like a little grown up. She's almost forced to be because come on, Frank. They all call him Frank, right?
Yeah, every single one calls him Frank. Nobody calls him
She's an
Dad.
awesome little character, and what she has to do, and she feels so sad. We'll talk about Ian in a little bit, but she feels like responsible. How does what is she, an 8-year-old, 10-year-old at the most?
I think she's like six or
Yeah, I
seven
think
or
she's
something.
6.
She's teeny. She's a kid, and she's started running her own babysitter's business so that Fiona can sleep during the day. But Fiona's covering up, acting as if she's taking the
Yeah.
children under her wing.
So the parents will be okay
right,
with that.
but the younger daughter
Which
has
is Debbie.
Debbie. Debbie has kids in cages.
I know,
So
yeah.
that she
Did you
can
see that,
feed
Phil?
the rest of the kids. One of the kids was in a cage, Phil.
It was a crib. Come on now, crib.
No, there was a
was
little
an actual
dog,
dog cage.
a little dog, because we had to go back on the DVR to double check. We're like, did we see what we
I
thought
was like,
we
is there
saw?
a baby in there?
You might want to go back, shameless fans, double check. I could be wrong, but we thought we saw a little, like where the dogs, you put the little dogs
I swear
under the
I'm with
airplane.
you on that. I thought
and
I saw that
it was a
too.
little baby in there. That's why me, as a new shameless person, I'm like, whoa, like, is that what I just saw? Like, you're gonna see anything on this show, so I kind of dug that. As far as interesting.
And I, speaking of them, I love the sort of community they've built. Debbie is introduced when I don't know if it's the cop or a firefighter, but he's using the hydrant to fill their little pool. You know what I mean? So they've built this shameless community around them,
Yeah.
which I love.
Like everyone's down, yeah.
And they just understand it's like a culture now where they each get it. We all got to pull our own weight if we want to survive. Everybody has to hustle.
Yeah.
Closed mouths are definitely not getting fed in this family. If you're not, working your end of the deal.
The only kid that you don't really see much of is the son, the younger son. You don't see too much.
He had a
him.
storyline last season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'll probably bring him back a little bit later. But they do give us a lot of Ian though.
Yes.
And he is dealing with his relationship this season.
Yep.
Still, once again, with what's the gentleman's name, Phil?
Kash.
With Kash.
With a K. That's, by the way, that was the first time for me. As huge a fan as I am, it was it's Cash and Grab, the name of their store, and I thought that was very interesting because that was the first time I noticed that.
You just brought that to my attention. I just noticed that from you noticing it.
That's what we do. That's what we
But
do.
I honestly can't stand Cash. I hate his guts.
What's the backstory on them from the first season? Because I only got to plug in this time.
Ian works for him.
Yeah.
And Ian is homosexual, and so he started having an affair with Kash.
An older man, essentially.
Older man taking advantage of his employee.
Yeah.
Ian's still, discovering and playing with his sexuality. And so this older man is taking advantage of a minor in addition to cheating on his wife.
Well, I don't think it's Ian as much in the wrong in this situation. I mean, he's not. Ian is doing what Ian's doing.
Right.
It's Kash.
Kash
really
is the one taking advantage.
Is 100%. I mean, for so many, I didn't even think of it until you just said like. That's his employee. So you also have that element,
right.
Which could
That's
be like
Kash is taking advantage.
A pressure situation, and then the lying to his wife. Does he have kids? He does have kids because the wife is she's pregnant right now, right?
But it would be as scandalous as soon as the wife leaves, they would be having sex in the back room. And so,
well, in this episode, there was other guys that were coming in as well.
Right. So they've broken up because Ian started having sex with one of his bully friends that he wound up making his lover, and Kash found out about it, and so they had this big breakup, and now Kash is sleeping with other men behind or in front of Ian's back. I guess Ian's noticing it because he sees the people walking in and out. So it's completely disrespectful. How do you do that to your ex? I think that's so rude. But they have a dysfunctional relationship anyways.
Right.
So you see along this story developing that Kash is having second thoughts about this new baby that he's committed to in order to shut his wife up about his homosexuality.
And then at the end, Kash does decide to leave everything, really.
Yeah, we see him walk out in...
Phil, I'm dying to know what you thought about that situation.
Well, in that whole thing, Ian is actually more of a man than Kash.
That's exactly... Yeah,
right.
He's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, because Kash... Or not Kash, I'm sorry. Ian knows what he wants. And, yes, maybe he's a bit of a playboy. We don't know fully yet. I think that's something that Ian's exploring.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's not lying to him. And then, obviously, last season with when the bully thing happened and the wife said, you guys have to learn how to shoot. We got to protect this place. And when Ian showed off that he could actually shoot and Kash couldn't, the wife was actually proud of Ian, even though she'd never liked him before that. And so, again, I think that was really eating at Kash, and it's really coming to fruition. And the coffin, or what do you call it? The nail on the coffin was the fact that he slept with the bully.
Yeah.
As far as like Kash catching feelings, is that what you're saying, kind of?
Yeah.
Well, Kash was feeling demasculinized by his wife, who he didn't really love, but it still affects him as a man.
Right.
And then now Ian's rejected him as well because now Ian's having an affair. So Kash is taking it upon himself for, I don't know, self.
But that's my question, though. Is Ian really having an affair, or isn't Ian?
Well, he was at the time sleeping with Kash when he was sleeping with his bully lover.
Because at the end of the day, it's all Kash's fault, 100%. He's the one
adult.
wrong. We were doing the after show for Better or Worse, and relationships come up a lot. And we had Michael Jai White in here, and he was just talking about his take on relationships and cheating. So we'll go to the cheating thing for just 1 second, and I will never forget what he said, which was super important or just interesting. When you are in a lie, when you were cheating, when you're doing something that, okay, whether or not you get caught or not, you are living, and he said this, and I thought this was kind of interesting, you're living in purgatory. You're just kind of in the midst of your honest truth and the fact that truth is not shared to the person you're in a relationship with.
Right.
When I heard that, I was like, whoa, that's actually some really legitimate, serious stuff. So, Kash, it is unfortunate where we are at in today's society, and it's super cool that people are kind of figuring out what's what sooner than later, because you do have relationships as far as a woman is now brought into this.
Yeah,
you
he's
have
affecting an entire family.
2 kids, I think Kash has, or and a third one. I mean, this is like ruining lots of
Several
lives.
people's lives here.
Versus one person's life, that can, Kash at one point could just be like, this is my situation. I'm gay. I got to just move on with it. And then it'll be cool. He could have addressed that at a certain age. He's brought a lot of people into it. So Kash is really the bad guy. He did leave on this episode, but I don't think he's going to leave for good. I feel like he might come back. I don't know.
Something's going to happen.
That's my thoughts.
Phil, do you agree? You think that he might come back?
I think something's going to happen. What just in terms of, sorry, I don't know. I think he will. But what I will say about Kash too is, I think the reason why he's lesser of a man than Ian is that he's self-deprecating, and you know what I mean?
Concur.
Yeah, and he's just whining about it.
He's a crybaby.
It's true. It's true. I think so.
Okay, so let's talk about Ian and Lip. they're they have this brotherly love.
Yep.
Ian is the younger brother and Lip is the older brother. So he's been through more, he's experienced more, he's kind of like a bit of more the wiser. But Ian's pretty strong because he has this ROTC background where he's trained military weapons. He showed us that before, but now he's thinking about enlisting and are going to Westgate? Which is a military school, or is he just enlisting into the military?
It's the Army. It's
the Army. Okay.
I forget what it's called.
Okay. I thought it was West something. So I wasn't
West
sure.
Point. West Point. That's the famous one.
West Point. Okay. And so his brother Lip has a problem with that because he doesn't want to lose his brother. He doesn't want him to go to war. So although he's trying to defend his country, he also doesn't want to lose his loved one, which I can perfectly understand.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting dynamic that they're so close. I mean, I feel like everybody in this episode shows their love for one another in some kind of weird dysfunctional way. Whether it's him supporting his brother in his fight club that he's starting to do.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Is that a new thing for this?
This is new, the fight club
Okay.
scene that we saw. He was getting his butt beat, but was it staged? He was saying that the fighter didn't show up or something.
I think it was staged. I'm pretty sure.
One of
it
the
was
fighters didn't show up, so Lip had to go in there and fight for him.
Okay.
And so that's why Lip had his butt beat. But this was another one of their, countless schemes in order to make more money. So I feel like they're always supporting each other no matter what the scheme is.
And it's like so natural. He walks in the house, the eyes messed up, and like the little kids, they don't give it a second thought. No one cares. Nobody cares. No one judges. Everyone just
Nobody
does.
judges.
They all
Nobody
just
judges.
do what
They
the
Frank,
are
by the way,
shameless.
Frank was the only one who actually thought about it, but then he thought better of it. Because at the scene where Lip goes to find Karen, and Frank turns back and he's like, "Nah, no."
Yeah,
not
he's
gonna
like,
ask.
I don't even care that much. That's what pretty much
Right.
what Frank was thinking. And so we see them. So we see them always having each other's back. And then what was next that we saw with?
Well, here's what I wanted to say, if you don't mind.
No.
I actually let me go to Ronnie on this one because
Yes.
since you're the new guy. There's definitely a structure to the Gallagher household.
Yes.
And it's very integral. And I want to kind of get your take on that because it'll lead me into what I want to say about Lip and Ian specifically.
Oh, okay.
Okay. What do I think about just the way they are?
Like
Yeah.
how the family structure is organized.
Or
if it is even.
no, it is organized, and it's organized that works best for them. As you said, Mari, there is a lot of love there, and everyone kind of has each other's back. I think it's great, and it is wild, but it's kind of like I feel like there is an organization behind it. It's a organization that it evolves and it changes, and everyone kind of just goes with it. There's so many things that happen. Maybe they bring the neighbors into it or whatever, and they make the whole neighborhood a part of their problem. And I think in that sense, they own it and they keep it organized, and it is cool. It's a fun. I've never seen anything like that on television, so to speak. So I did like it. You know.
They've created a function out of their dysfunction. They've made their dysfunction
It's functionally dysfunctional.
Right.
Yeah, is what it is.
Phil, what did you want to say about that?
Well, what I wanted to say, like, it's been pretty much a year since I've last seen the show, but seeing it made me know it so well again. When I look at their house, it just, for me, I'm such a clean guy that, like, it makes me cringe. And yet, through this chaos, they know their way around the kitchen like it's nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you said, hey, can you find that letter from 3 years ago? Honest to God, I think they would all know how to do it. And, as we see in the preview next week, or it may be it actually was for the whole season.
Yeah.
We see Fiona confront Lip and Ian and say, hey, if you guys split up, you guys are my foundation. This whole family's going down.
Yeah.
And, as you said, Spicy, in the first season, they were so buddy-buddy together. And I think this season will obviously be the splitting apart as they have different interests. Not to get too much into predictions. Getting older, different interests. Obviously, Ian likes girls. He likes guys.
Great.
Lip likes whores because he still wants Karen
He's still
back.
in love with her. Did you see that? Every scene, he's like just still mesmerized by her. I think he's bearing how he really feels because he knows he can't be with her, but the love is still there.
That was the hardest part as far as the new person watching the show, because I was asking Spicy Mari, I was like, wait, I thought he wasn't still with her, and you were like, well, they're not together. And yes, she did actually have sex with Frank, which is his dad, and it's just a wild thing. And I'm like, but it seems like he's still with her. And
It's called unconditional
You're
love.
like, no, they're not together. But I'm watching, and there's the scene in the
ice cream truck.
in the ice cream truck, and it's like he almost like was talking about her sex rehab thing,
Right.
just to be down with her. So I would love to see how the season's gonna go with her, and if she's gonna ever kind of get it together. But yeah, he probably does like, as you said, whores, possibly. So we'll see probably a lot of that.
No, well, I'm sorry. I didn't actually mean to say not that like I'm taking back the idea of I'm not afraid to say whore. That's not me. I'm shameless, as you guys know. But I think there's a genuine love for Lip and Karen. I don't
There
think
is.
Right.
So that's why I want to.
You know what?
clarify that.
I wanted to talk about what you were saying. It's a filthy house, I guess is what you were saying. I don't know. Is it a filthy house? Because you were saying they could be organized and well, not organized, but they happened to grab a letter from 3 years ago. I think the house is chaotic, of course, but it's more poor, dirty than actual dirty. Does that make any sense? You know what I'm saying? Like it is.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, it's more of a shacky little like beat up house. I don't think it's actually like a filthy, disgusting, vile house.
I grew up poor, and my house was spotless. My mother made sure that
That's
I was
what I'm
like
saying. That's
cleaning
what-
every corner with like a toothbrush. I
No,
think their
that-
house is dirty.
Oh, I don't think it's like 100% dirt. I mean, it's not.
It
that.
looks crusty, dusty. I mean, that bathroom, you know what I'm saying? Frank comes in there and like throws up every single time. Like, you never know
Oh,
what
well,
you're
that,
going to find
You're never gonna, yeah.
in that household, it looks like.
Can't beat the throw up. No. And I've lived in some poor situations too, so I got it. But I'm just, yeah.
But I understand what you're saying, though. It could just be like an older house, you're saying, and then like everything's kind of
like
messy, scattered.
You move into that spot and the toilet is disgusting looking, but it's as clean as it's gonna get. It's always going to look
It's as
disgusting.
clean as it's gonna
That's
get.
what I'm saying. Like it's
I know- yeah, I think I get
sanitary.
it.
It's been with the Lysol and everything, but it's never gonna get cleaner. And things are broken. I thought maybe that's why they're able to find stuff and why the house does look so messy. Because it's not. I mean, it is. Of course, it's messy because Frank lives there or goes
Yeah,
there.
when he comes home and he's like taking stuff out of cupboards and throwing stuff around.
Frank sucks. Frank is
He
what makes you
does.
want to watch the show, though. So.
And then so we have Kevin and marijuana. Can we go
Which,
to
by
that,
the way,
Phil?
I was gonna say that is the cleanest part of this entire episode, or like their kind of community. That marijuana. What would you call that? Plantation.
The
Why not?
plantation. that
It
they
was,
grew.
yeah. From the neighbor. This was the neighbor. This was Fiona's best friend, right? I mean, the girl she works with,
Right.
boyfriend, I guess. Do we have the names on the?
Kevin?
It's Kevin and Victoria,
Oh, okay,
or
gotcha.
she's commonly referred to as V.
Okay.
Yeah, so Kevin snuck behind her back and started growing, all this marijuana, and he's
All of it.
yeah. So he has like a huge electricity bill because he's got to grow it with the lighting and stuff, and so now they don't know what to do with all this. So they're trying to sell it inside of an ice cream truck. So you see Kevin and Ian hustling,
Yeah.
blow pops and ice cream sandwiches with weed
And
to
Ian-
underage kids.
Ian had. I'm saying this neighborhood is
I mean,
so.
not Ian. I'm sorry. What was the kid? What's the
Lip.
Lip.
But
was
by the
selling
way,
it with Kevin.
I love the idea of that they actually have rules for this. Like, hey, you got an idea? Are you 14? We only are, and then for the alcohol, it's like you
It's
got to be
so
16 to do
legit.
this.
Yeah, it's so legitimately not legit.
Right.
Like,
There's rules to their insanity.
and it's very planned out. They're in their location, but they have the like a device that could tell you whether there's
Police.
an officer around or whatever. So it's very weird. Not weird, but I guess it's true to life out there because it's crazy. And these little 14-year-olds are like, they know what time it is. Everyone
Right.
knows what time it is in this neighborhood. This neighborhood.
Yeah.
Is it? Do we just establish it's Detroit or do we?
No, it's Chicago.
It is
Chicago.
Chicago. Okay.
Chicago.
It is Chicago. Okay.
But I thought it was interesting too that how intelligent Kevin is also. That he's kind of like his talents are going to waste because he's like a little genius.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Kevin.
Lip. Because
Lip.
of course.
so many names. It's like 20 people on the show.
I got you covered. I like, right? You're talking about the storyline with, I think it's the University of Chicago, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I love that
Oh.
relationship. And I love how
the teacher?
that too is corrupted.
Yes.
Based off of like him selling weed and like them just trying to rip off the government to make like war profit or whatever.
But like he can probably create missiles to send to other countries,
Yeah.
and he's like running this little hustle in order to feed his family.
Okay, and he's going to a beautiful college, like was just insanely, the aesthetic of it. And he's got the black eye, mind you. This is what the scene looks like. He's got the black eye, and then he's talking with the teacher, and the teacher's like, I only cared about teaching so I could bang 22-year-olds. I'm just like, what show is this? And you guys tell me it's gonna get more than this? I can't
Yeah,
wait.
it gets
I
far
can't
worse.
wait.
It gets far worse. But you see him like repairing this ice cream truck so that he can continue on with his hustle with Kevin. And so it's just like, it's like nonstop. And what I love about the storyline is that all of them are doing this in order to get through, in order to get by. It's just natural.
Well, anyone who knows somewhat about like what hustle is and ambition or whatever, doing what you have to do, it doesn't stop. It's not 9 to 5 at all. It like continuously goes. And I think that's great because we see this in the show. We see their stuff being taken care of, and then they go to a certain limit, and then they got to all find out about Frank, and with no questions asked, we all have got to figure out how we're going to solve the Frank problem, which is, of course,
luckily Kevin has gone behind V's back and grew this entire, weed plantation.
But do you know the little girl's name? That's the one thing I don't know.
Oh, I can.
Which little girl?
Okay, so
his little Christian adopted child that.
Oh, that was so funny too for a first-time Shameless viewer. I was like, "What am I watching here?" Yeah. So what's the story on that? They adopted a whatever she is.
The story is that Kevin, I forget the full details, but basically Kevin got this girl, and they decided to keep her, and Kevin's really developed this relationship with her, but yes, it's love, but it's also so much abuse. He's got her growing marijuana plants, and he won't even tell her, the truth that it's just illegal.
And she's like very.
She's so sweet.
She's so sweet, and we're just doing yard work. I mean, she is.
I mean, her character is kind of like what's the other one that's afraid to go outside? I need to learn.
Sheila.
Sheila Jones-Cusack.
I'm really bad with names. Sorry, guys. I'm working on that in life. That's my New Year's resolution: is learn everybody's name in the world. But the little girl is very similar to Sheila, where they're kind of just like oblivious to what's really going on, but they're just the sweetest and kindest people.
Pure, yeah, very
the perfect people for the Gallaghers to take advantage of.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they're their prey. But I think that they really do care for that little girl because they felt sympathy for her when they found out that she was taken advantage of and had a child at such a young age.
Yeah.
Remember, because you were like, oh, I overheard she had a kid. What's going on with that? So each person kind of has their own dysfunction, whether they know it or not.
Exactly.
And so in that situation with Kevin and their marijuana, he later kind of comes around to save the day because, once again, Frank has screwed things up. But before we talk about Frank, let's talk about Fiona. Because this is one of my favorite characters.
Everybody loves Fiona.
This is my favorite character on the show. In addition to her being like smoking hot, she's also really smart and she's the leader of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Could I tell Ronnie about a fun scene last season?
Okay, yeah,
go
ahead.
for it,
Go ahead.
dude.
All right, so for those of you, I think it was the penultimate episode when Fiona's deciding, okay, should I be with Steve or not? And I forget which guy she was with. It definitely wasn't Tony because we know Tony's macaroni,
She gets
Tony
around.
cheesy.
Yeah.
But and then Curtis and I, who for those of you who remember Curtis, he'll be joining us actually in the coming weeks as a co-host. But there was that awesome scene of her and the guy naked in a pool, and Ronnie, we had a moment where we played that on the show again because it was just so awesome.
You played the clip. Okay.
With Emmy Rossum in a pool naked. It's just awesome.
They find ways. I think we saw her like naked a couple times, even just in this one episode.
Yeah.
And in the previews, there's like 15 scenes or little flashes of what's gonna happen. There she was again, and she seems like I was actually watching a bunch of interviews on her because I want to get her personality.
Mm-hmm.
She's like a sweet Emmy Rossum or whatever. She's like a really sweet girl.
She
and
seems like
this
it.
is the character. She is nailing.
Well,
it.
you know where she comes from, right?
Where?
You grew up? I don't know.
No, the Disney Channel.
Oh, that's I was gonna
Oh.
say because we were talking like that name is so familiar. What show was she on?
It wasn't a show. It was hold on. Let me think of let me look up the movie. You guys
Oh,
saw.
okay.
How ironic that she would go to the Disney Channel, from the Disney Channel to
But that's
Shameless.
good. That's actually really cool.
That's
I mean,
that's a great acting.
I bet you every one of them other little Nickelodeon or Disney girls want to do the same thing. I mean, at some point, because
Yeah.
you want to be able to, and not everyone could do that too. So credit to her. I don't know what she's
But I think
from.
what's so enjoyable about her is that although she may, and I'm not going to call her promiscuous because she's not. I think she's just in touch with her sexuality. She owns her appetite and she goes for it. But she also has an innocence to her. She's the pretty girl next door that's very confident.
I was gonna say she might be hooking up a lot and having a good amount of she has a healthy sex appetite, but I never looked at her, spicy we could say, but I never looked at her as like, I don't know, when I think like this dirty girl whore, whatever, if we'll use that word, I think somebody also who has a mental thing where it's like they're picking, I mean, this is kind of deep, I guess, too. This is like they're picking up a lack of validation within themselves. She
Right.
doesn't have that. She's like put together within this terrible
Right.
situation that Frank and her mom, too, has had kind of made her become the household, leader. and this is the little fun she gets to have.
Right.
You know?
I think that's what I kind of feel like too. Her sexual
Maybe I'm just
little
being
rampages.
very nice. Maybe every other dude who watches the show is gonna be like, she's a hoe. You know, I don't know if I would say that about her. I think she's got. I mean, her character has a lot of depth, is what I'll say. Everyone
Well, her
knows Fiona.
character went from the Disney Channel movie Genius. Do you guys remember that? Genius.
A little, but
Not
All right,
really.
Phantom of the Opera. Then
Okay.
you guys, what? You guys are not Emmy Rossum fans.
well, we're going to become Emmy Rossum fans.
I love her on Shameless, but
Yeah.
I didn't really watch Disney Channel that much. Sorry, Phil.
I mean, fine, whatever. I'll admit.
I watched more gangster hardcore shows.
You know what?
growing
I
up.
was trying to shamelessly like get in with girls because I wasn't the ladies' man that I am today, and so shamelessly I would be like, "Yeah, I like Genius. Let's watch Genius with Emmy Rossum." And
So that's how you got him.
Oh.
I so did not get them.
These
So
are
did not
these are
get
the
them.
these are the notes of Phil and
Note to self:
how
Disney Channel.
how to be a player. There was a movie about that.
Right, exactly. But he was doing it like what 6? If you were watching the Disney Channel.
Whoa! I was like 13. All right, let's go. Come on now. That's
My
probably
bad.
even worse. But hey, I'm gonna tell the truth and be shameless about it.
Hey, what was shame? Two things we do after Buzz: we tell the truth and we keep it shameless. So
Right.
there you go.
So she has
That's one thing I have learned.
owned this role. She's very confident with herself and her sexuality, and I love that we kind of don't know what's going on with her ex-boyfriend, and we kind of see Steve. Yeah, we kind of see Fiona with the new boo. Do you know what his name is?
This is the new screen grab, I guess, and this is the new
No,
guy.
that's the old
This
season.
is the old one.
Oh, okay. So I'm
But
wrong.
what we don't know really what happened with Steve. We don't know where he is right this second, right?
Well, he left. What was? I don't know if you guys caught this, but on my DVR, there was like 2 minutes leading up to the
Where
show.
he kind of comes back.
What?
No,
Say
she's
that
talking
again?
about the recap.
No, before the show started, on my DVR, there was like a 2-minute piece with Emmy Rossum talking about the new season.
No, I didn't see that.
And it was pretty cool. She was kind of going through all. It was weird because I was catching in on it, and she was like talking about guys named Craig and this older guy, and I was like, wait, did I miss like episodes? Do I not remember the show? And I was really worried coming in because I hadn't done my research and. But she was actually talking about this season, and so we see that Amy Smart is trying to hook her up with an older guy, which I think is a guy that you saw in the preview, and he'll kind of try to pimp her out. There's a guy named Craig. We know
Wait, pimp her out? What do you mean?
Amy's,
pimp her out. Pimp her
Oh,
out.
my
a guy
God.
is trying to pimp out Emma
The 40-year-old
or Fiona.
Fiona.
The 40-year-old guy that Amy Smart's character is trying to hook her up with
Oh, okay.
will prostitute her out. And Tony is the guy living next to her who bought Steve's house. Steve's away, and the big encompassing quote of all of this was when Emmy Rossum said of Fiona's character, "None of them are Steve," and that's the problem.
Love.
I'm still on the pimping out thing because only because she's doing what she has to do in this situation now. You're talking about like making money for just being with this guy. So now that might be an element of her. Does she turn her back on the Gallaghers and go do her own thing? I mean,
Well, it's
money.
not. It's not like it's
just
not
a-
like they would, feel any loss of respect for self if they did do that. Because as you can see, Frank will pimp himself out in a second.
Frank actually had sex with
So
guys for
look at the
money.
example
for,
that's being
for
set for
drugs
this
or-
family.
You're right. We didn't even mention that. Yeah, Frank went to a
So
bar
if Fiona
and,
does it, who cares?
and Frank messed with at least 4 very overweight gentlemen and made a little bit of money and
Right.
then was back in the game.
Right, and it was nothing. Like it was so effortless for
I
him.
think he went home that same night and went to go talk with Sheila, which the Joan Cusack
Right,
character, and
exactly.
maybe touched her. No, he was in the bed with her actually. I think.
Yeah, he woke
I-
up. He woke
yeah,
up with
I
her.
think
But Fiona does it. It seems like Amy Smart. They're making her character. She's about to get Fiona into some trouble, pretty much.
She's a bad
from what
influence,
Phil's
yeah.
predicting.
Well, yeah, because I mean, obviously, I forget Amy Smart's character. I just know her as Amy Smart. But her against V. V has always been the kind
Best
of
friend.
good
Right.
angel on Fiona's shoulder, and we see that even more so in tonight's episode with the bar thing. And now Amy Smart came in I believe the last 3 episodes of last season. Now I think that's going to be the big thing of this season is Amy Smart now has more pull.
And V's sensing that. We can kind of see a little bit of jealousy
You
there.
said that V
Yeah.
comes from their world,
Right,
the Gallaghers
exactly.
world. What do we know about Amy Smart? Where does she come from?
she married?
Does she have? Well, if she did, she was.
Is she married, Phil?
She was banging that
The-
one guy
the-
that night.
Oh no, in the show?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, because V keeps saying something about her man being gone, like where's her man or something. I thought she was making reference to. I don't really know too much about Amy, like Amy Smart's character and like where they're going with it. But regardless, this is a new friend of Fiona that's a threat.
And there's a jealousy that can,
yeah, but
different influences
one thing I
and all
like
that.
about V is that she keeps it real, and like you had said, she's kind of like the voice of reasoning. She sees Fiona starting this new relationship with what she calls a rebound, and she's telling Fiona to be careful because we see her frolicking and jogging and racing. This new guy having fun, flirtatious, passionate sex with him, but at the end of the day, she's still not over Steve.
But what worries me is the fact that at the end, the episode ends with Fiona trying to break her record.
Right.
You know what I mean? And to me, that shows, okay, this guy's obviously inspiring her. Steve, while he inspired her to do many things, this was her goal. This was sort of her chance to make a name for herself. She could have gone to States. And this guy's finally told her, like, we'll get a stopwatch and we'll time you and you'll get the record. And that's stuck. And that's my, in terms of the Steve-Fiona relationship, it was just like, I
think it was one more thing that she needed to prove to self. I think that was for her own personal gain and kind of something that she questioned in the back of her mind. But notice how she didn't bring him, the one who made the suggestion, on it.
But just the notion of allowing him and that idea to stick, you know what I mean? That's stuck, and that's the point. Even if she didn't bring him, I know that. But when did Steve ever, kind of want to know about her past?
Inspire her.
And the reason why they're not together is because Steve wanted to pull her away from the family, which is something that she didn't want to do, and that's the whole reason. And we know the reason she's not with Tony, which I want to get Ronnie's take, because obviously Tony didn't play too much into this episode, but he's just lame. He's kind of like...
Is that the one that they
guy?
said Justin Bieber looking? Yeah, that one. That was the joke that V made. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
new guy.
Yeah, he's Cornball City, of course, but and I always, like I said, I get worried that she does meet a guy, but I didn't realize Steve had already done that same thing. That's going to draw her away from the family. I love the idea that she's already been sort of propositioned, like, oh, let's get you away from all this, and she's putting her foot down. But when money comes involved, maybe, I don't know, it would be interesting for the show if she does kind of go back on that and start stepping away from the fammy. I think
the family won't survive without her, though. Like, she
well,
is
I'm
the
just
glue.
saying that's a good part.
Yeah.
That could make, not necessarily predictions, but those are things I think would make it very challenging for the Gallaghers.
Well, at one point, I think we thought that she was going to leave with Steve because she was in love with him, and so, but her own conscience wouldn't allow her to do that because she knew that her family would be lost without her.
What's Steve's real name? Right? This Ronnie,
the actor Steve.
Kevin Ball.
No. You guys.
Steve's real name is Kevin Ball.
No, isn't it
Justin
Chadwick?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, Ronnie, you don't know this, but he had a family life. He makes him. Sorry, Steve makes himself out to be this kind of poor character, and yet he comes from a very rich background, and he has a fake name. Steve is his fake name.
Oh wow!
What do we remember his real name?
We have a little cheat sheet of the
Steve
names
is
on
the
here.
fake name in the sense that Fiona doesn't even know, or Fiona knows.
No. Steve is the name that Fiona knows, but she didn't know about. The
okay.
problem was that she didn't know about this fake life that he lived and that he was rich and he left because he hated it and that's why he stole cars and all of that.
Right.
It was some very waspy name that
She fell in love with a lie. Like, he was pretending to be this guy stealing cars, hustler. I understand the hustle, and he acting like he's getting his money from dirty money, but really he grew up very privileged.
Oh man, okay.
And so when she
what
finds
drew them
this
apart?
out,
Is that what drew them apart from the
and
season
then,
one?
didn't he have another girl? Like, he had a girlfriend in his alternate life, right, Phil?
Wasn't it like a prearranged marriage almost?
Yeah. Like, his rich mother and his family all knew about it, and so
very controlled life. Like, this is what you're gonna do, and then
so we would see him go back and forth to his mansion.
And now she
back to them.
never lies about her situation, right? She's very shameless in the sense that she lets any guy she's dating know what.
She'll bring him back and do it on the kitchen counter with them, or the dryer, whichever house appliance is free at that time.
Yeah, which I'm sure the writers have a really good time, like in those meetings. Like, okay, what's Emmy gonna do like this episode?
Exactly.
The old Disney girl. She ain't Disney no more.
Was I looking at the wrong thing on this sheet, Steve? Howie, that's not who the character.
No.
is?
His real name is Justin Chadwick.
Yeah.
Oh, see, our information is wrong on here. Then
You might be looking at a whole different TV show.
I'm looking at Shameless.
All right. Well,
my bad,
why don't
folks.
we, with that, jump into Frank and his kind of main thing of what a dumb bet. Like, Frank, You are dumb.
And it was so quick. He didn't even like. He's not dumb. He didn't even realize he did it though, right? I mean, it's kind of what it comes down to.
He never realizes what
Well,
he
he
does.
started off stealing
so
the
stupid.
child. What's the name of the child, Phil?
Liam.
He starts off stealing Liam at the beginning of the show to try to make money on the street corner. That was the first abuse of the child when he takes the child from daycare. And Debbie's like, where are you going with
Well, I
my
think
brother?
you're talking about the bar scene though, right, Phil?
Yeah, that's the scene.
Oh, okay. So the bar.
This
The
is him
setup.
This is him being. This is where the $10,000.
Oh, the
which,
bar was before the baby, right? Before he took the baby.
Yes.
Okay.
This was like the whole, even though
Brain
it didn't
fart.
seem necessarily as interesting until the very end, but this is what set it all up. He's in the bar, getting drunk as he does, and it was something about the tasers. And I took 2 tasers, and then this other guy was like, this big, huge 6 foot, 300-pound black guy was like, I could take 2 taser, shots too. And Frank's like, no, you can't. And then Frank says $10,000, and you're not going to take it. And it almost looked like for a second that maybe the guy was going to fall, but he didn't fall. So literally $10,000 was owed from Frank's no money having ass to this guy and his crew. And that's kind of like what, intertwined in the show, the entire episode.
And I was kind of shocked that he held him accountable for that. But then again, I've never been hit with the taser, so I really don't know how much pain he took.
Yeah.
But he really expected him to pay up.
That's like how, if you're talking about the crazy person, what do you shake them, money out of them? It's a crazy person, but they were still going to do it. And, at the end of the day, there was something in, as far as collateral, which was the baby. And that's,
And that's when we see Frank take the baby.
For me, it was funny because obviously it's a situation where Frank insulted himself. Like, hey, I've gotten tasered twice, and I got tasered once, and I crapped my pants. Okay, so you're insulting yourself, and then you're putting this bet on someone. You know what I mean? It'd be one thing to be a drunk and say, "Hey, look what I can do. Bet on me to do this, and I will do it." Versus like, here's this guy. I bet you can't do it. You never want to go for that. You're setting yourself up to fail, and that's what made it
Does this happen
hilarious.
to you often, Phil? Are you speaking from experience?
I used to be drunk growing up. Yes.
Oh, I thought this was maybe like Disney Channel.
he was
related.
drunk at 13 and he was watching Disney, and then he was
Right.
it all comes together now.
This childhood. I've talked to your mom. I gotta double check with her about this.
It was bad. It was all bad. Frank was
So now he has to figure out how he's gonna get himself out of this situation.
Yeah.
But what does he run out of the bar? How does he escapes from having to pay this debt?
initially, yeah.
And so then he decides, okay,
And I totally thought they would let him go, but you're right. They are not going to
They
let him go.
did
They're going to
not.
rip one toe off at a time or something like that.
because he's trying to make some money, and he takes the baby, and
That's when they find him.
yeah, and what is I don't even know the black guy's name.
Wait, which guy? Liam?
No,
Kid?
not the baby.
Well, he's
The
not.
big
He's
black-
not.
the
He's not a
big black
guy.
guy.
He's
I don't know. The
he's
big black guy.
The big black guy. Okay.
Yeah.
The buff man.
Yeah,
He
from
sees him,
this episode,
He
yeah.
sees him on the street corner with this baby pretending like
He's
he's
panhandling,
homeless.
trying to-
Yeah, trying to get money.
And is it really pretending that he's homeless? I mean, he's pretty close
He's
to home.
got 2 homes.
I know, but he's. It's still not a far stretch for him.
Well,
to-
here's the really fun part is we saw a glimpse. We've seen this throughout, and so it carries. But the idea of him, wherever he goes, he tries to sell oregano as weed and whatever salt as coke, and everyone's like, Frank,
Right.
don't try it, Frank. I know, so he's known everywhere.
We see like he's full of crap. I wanted
Yeah.
to say the other word, but I'm just gonna say that he's full of crap. He tries every single scheme and uses whoever he has to get
And
it.
that aspect is not, how we're calling Frank he's so dumb. That I don't think that aspect of him is dumb. He's just really feeling like he's gonna get over on people.
Yeah.
It's fun. Watching him, William H. Macy, is really a great character because we look at him and you're like, oh my God, the things he does are just so crazy. They're so insane. But he has somewheres in his mind there that he is gonna control situations or
that he's gonna get out of it.
or like, oh, I'm gonna be one up on the next person. And it's like you're not really gonna be one up on the next person. But he continuously tries to do that, which is like we're looking at it like what are you doing, man? It's like
But especially the whole notion is, I think initially it worked for him. You know what I mean? He's pulled this wool over so many people's
Yeah.
eyes. But it works in the short term. And in the long term, it's not going to work because then that's your community. Unless you keep on going
Right.
from like a parasite from one host to another, everyone's going to catch up, and that's the problem.
The one bartender that he went to, he's telling him, "I'm desperate. Look, it's my baby. It's
yeah, they're like,
Ian."
we've heard that before.
Yeah, and then finally the guy believes him. He's okay. I didn't know what he had in store there at the bar. I thought he was just trying to get some money from the bartender.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize manhole was the clue there when he went into the bar.
the what?
You said Manho?
The title of the bar was called Manhole.
You really pay attention to the outside of storefronts.
I know you've been paying attention. Good
I didn't see
job,
that
Phil.
either. No,
I didn't realize that either. But when he goes into the bathroom, I'm like, what are they gonna do back there? Oh,
yeah.
And then there was a line.
So he made extra money. Yeah.
I just want to know what he was doing in the stalls with all those people. He couldn't have been doing what I thought he was doing, so I think it was more innocent. I'm hoping it was more innocent.
You've got a spicy personality.
I'm
you
hoping
can figure it out.
I'm hoping it was just bobble folks. I don't know, because I don't know how he was able to walk after that. But enough of the spice. So he's trying to earn money in order to get the baby back, because the big black guy steals his baby as ransom or holds the baby hostage until Frank earns enough money, and he comes home without the baby.
Which, by the way,
I thought was so weird for the guy, the big black guy with his crew. Like, I thought it was the weirdest thing.
That was an unrealistic scene.
Like, we're gonna, like, I thought the baby would die, if anything. Like, who's
They're
gonna
all
watch?
playing
I mean,
with
I'm not
him.
dogging them, but like, who's stopping to watch a baby? You're gonna kill Frank or something. I don't know. Like, yeah, we're gonna keep the baby. Like, Frank doesn't care. He doesn't know.
You're really gonna babysit that
That
child.
to me was a little interesting, Phil.
But as a plot device, what could be, in terms of making everyone care about and helping Frank?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only
His,
thing.
that they have to get Liam back, and that's the only thing that will draw everyone to help him and lose $10,000 in the process.
Oh, God, and-
Anything less, because again, the whole point is the reason why we love Frank is because the world around him seems even more insane than he is.
Yeah.
And that's the nuts part.
And the reason we like the Gallagher family is because Debbie, the young girl who's like a little adult, she's forced to be. I mean, this is just to get your arms, your mind around this. It's like she is watching these kids for her sister who can't do it because she's got to kind of double up and get a job. So she's not even supposed to be watching the kids, but she is. And then the baby gets taken by Frank, and then the baby gets, with this crew now that potentially could hurt the baby,
Right.
Liam. And she's crying. Like, Phil, I was just like feeling so bad for her.
She's not even thinking like, maybe I should be in school. Is this unhealthy
No.
for my lifestyle? Not one of my
She
siblings
felt
are
like
in
it was
school.
100% her fault, and
Yeah.
that is what it is when you watch the Gallagher family, and that's what I'm like, wow, this is a shameless
She
family
took full
for sure.
responsibility, and
She
poor
cried.
thing. I felt so bad for her, but luckily they realized that Frank didn't come home and he didn't have the child with him, and so
And he sure didn't tell them. They
had to figure out. They had to go over to the other house.
And it went for a long time because she first said, because she was actually very responsible. Debbie was like, where's he at? And
He's in the car.
He's in the car. Frank, what about the window? Like, the window can't be up, He's fine. I left the keys in the car. And in Chicago, So the fact that she didn't like figure it out right then, even though I'm not making Debbie a little 10-year-old, I'm not forcing her to know these things, but it did go for a little longer in the evening, and then it was as they went over to Sheila's house that they were like, okay, where's this baby? Where is this baby?
But
And-
I love the scene where they're all piled up, walking through the hall, going after their brother.
yeah.
Like the love that they have for the child. I was trying to fill you in. He's their half brother, but they don't care. Like they don't care that he's
Yeah.
half black and that he's not Frank's.
Yeah.
Every single person has taken ownership of this child.
Frank doesn't even care. Frank's talking to
It's
the
not even
people.
Frank's baby.
Frank is talking to, I think maybe the bartender or whatever. You mean the mulatto kid? Like, I mean, no one. They're like, that's not your baby. But
The community
nobody
has accepted him.
Nobody cares. I mean,
Yes.
this strange little neighborhood is just, man.
But you should have seen them gang up before when their mom tried to take the baby back. That was love.
against her their own mother.
Yeah, against their own mother. They were like, "You're not taking our brother."
So at the end of the day, are they more for the dad because he's around? Like they kind of have his back a little bit more than the mom, right? I mean.
What is the? I mean, they just love him. Yeah, they don't like their mom at all. They have
Okay.
no respect for their mom because Frank's been around at least Frank hasn't 100% abandoned them.
Yeah.
So they have more respect for their father in a lack of respect kind of way
Yeah.
because he is a
I think
mess up.
I think the whole reason why they have to love him and interact with him is just because he fills that space. He's literally in the space. He comes to the house. In the case of Lip, he interacts with him because of Karen,
Mm-hmm.
and so you at that point you have no choice but to kind of live.
He's the
'cause-
only
'cause he's
parent
there,
that they
yeah.
have. And even
Exactly.
though he doesn't act like a parent, he acts like one of the children. They still feel this responsibility of blood. He's blood. So they
And
have
he's
his back.
around, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're I just wanted to kind of wrap up just because we're
Let's
running a
do
little
it.
bit late. But let me get your last kind of final thoughts. We'll go into a commercial. We'll come back with some real quick news and gossip, and then give our predictions for the season. But real quick, last thoughts about the episode. Spicy.
I love the ending. That was my favorite part when they all teamed up together to go get their little brother back. And at the end, when Fiona asks for one of the bags of the weed, and that's her payoff to the guy for $10,000. I thought that was perfect. I thought that
It tied in,
yeah,
yeah.
that luckily, Kevin had done that illegal act, and
Yeah.
at the end of the day, saved the day with his huge weed piles.
Yeah, the neighborhood was all around. It was up in smoke.
The
And
ending when they did the bonfire.
And even just like watching the show, like the music kicked in, it was fun. It just, you have this sense of like, I don't know what I'm watching. These people are absolutely crazy, but you see the no matter what, at all costs, love that they have for each other. That was being brought even to a bigger magnitude when it was the neighborhood that kind of all got behind it. And this is what I like about certain people that are unapologetically themselves.
Yep.
And that's like the coolest thing, that this show that is just so sloppy on so many levels is able to bring it back to that at the end. The music was good as far as, the people that actually produce and film this show. I mean, it was a...
And then we see Frank at the end with them at the bonfire, and they're like, "Come on, Dad! Like it's all love again." Even though he made this huge mistake, they worked it out.
And it made me so plugged in for so many reasons. The fact that you guys said season 1, I still got to catch up on. So then I'm like into that. That was the pivotal scene. I'm watching that scene, thinking in my head, I got to go back and watch season 1. And then the scene is good. And then I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna get for the rest of the episodes, and you guys are telling me it's gonna be even better. So I'm plugged into Shameless, is what it comes down to. Sunday nights at 10.
That's right. We'll be back right after this.
AfterBuzz TV.
Hi, I was once like you, a lazy, angry loner whose only joy was watching TV and surfing the net. And, like you, after I'd see one of my favorite TV shows, I'd be so excited and have so many questions that I'd actually have to talk to my douchebag coworkers about it at the water cooler. Then I discovered AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzz TV produces after-show webcasts and podcasts for TV series of all kinds, like post-game wrap-up shows for all your favorite TV shows. AfterBuzz TV hosts are industry insiders who break down episodes of shows, take calls from fans, and interview cast and crew from each series, with over 60 different after shows, from Boardwalk Empire to American Idol to Vampire Diaries to Real Housewives, and more. Now, after a night of TV, I can ignore my stupid coworkers, who I hate, and go straight to my desk and watch or listen to all my favorite AfterBuzz TV after shows, and have all the TV fan interaction I need. Thank you, AfterBuzz TV.
AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about?
Ooh, buzz, buzz, buzz. I want to...
Welcome, guys. I know I said we get into some news, but real quick, I do just want to say thank you for fans listening to the first season that we ever did. We're excited to be back for the second season. In order to make this podcast really, really successful, we think of you guys as the base. Without you, there is no us. We do this for you because we love you and we love sharing the knowledge. So what you can do for us in return is spread the love, spread the word. If you're a Shameless fan, tell your friends. That's all we care about. And let us know your thoughts, too. Tweet us, spicy_Mari. That's Mari. Ronnie Jr. at Ronnie JR Media. That's Ronnie RONIE JR Media, the regular way. And tweet AfterBuzz. I really don't care for tweeting, but if you tweet at AfterBuzz, I may be one of the people responding. And again, we want to make this a fun season. So do your part, we'll do ours. Right, guys?
Appreciate you, Phil.
I like that. Tell a friend, like Phil always says, make it a viral thing. Tweet the cast members, say, oh, I love the show, and I was watching AfterBuzz, and they were talking about the characters, and I called in. Like, do all that, because really, that's what it comes down to. Hey, and I just got to say, like, I'm super excited about possibly, if I'm selected to be on this panel with Shameless, because
this is the last time we'll see you.
I don't know if Phil's gonna let me make the cut, but
no,
my point
Ronnie
is,
has to come back.
My point is, like, there's other shows I've done are, more like the reality competition shows or whatever, and this is one of the first shows that, there's obviously other shows I've watched that have this type of substance, but never to recap it. And furthermore, to have a group like Phil, who I told him, oh, I printed out some research. He goes, dog,
he knows it inside and out.
He's like, I got it. Then we got the spicy one, which is always great. And then the dude that I met today, who was on the game
Curtis,
recap, who has a crazy opinion, and I believe there's just no one flyer than Marcy Smith. I'm telling you, you haven't met her yet, but
I'm excited to see her.
She made the X Factor shameless, okay? So imagine when she gets on this show. So like I said,
this is going to be pretty fun.
let's just hope I make the cut. Can you tweet me and like get me to make the cut? I would enjoy that. Anyways, go ahead, Phil.
All right. Well, why don't we get into some
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, guys. So the only bit of news that I have is for the numbers of the season. You know, since we didn't do it Sunday, which we will do Sunday, right? Not necessarily right after the show airs, but sometime in that Sunday slot. So check out the news site. By the way, it's not 100% there yet, but it's getting there. And you can see the schedule right on the homepage, AfterBuzzTV.com. But because we're doing it on Tuesday instead of Sunday, I have the benefit of the numbers, and Shameless got 1.5 million.
Boom. Boom.
It doesn't sound like a lot. You know, I know networks, like, they get, like, 10 million or whatever, but even I saw my mom, and Spicy can attest to this. She saw my mom, too. And she said, you know, she loves these shows, but sometimes paying for them is tough.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for a show that you have to pay more money, and in fact, quite a lot of money, you know, to get that kind of number, that's a solid number.
But to get the show, just be shameless and call your friends who have it. I mean, you know, you hustle a little bit. You know,
I'm going to start tweeting like every single 5 minutes.
I don't have Showtime, but I'll go to Marty's house and I'll go watch it there. Like, be shameless yourself. Come on, get down with this. Anyway.
All right, so that's all the bit of news and gossip I have for this week. We'll have more as we go along. And again, the fun part for me is not necessarily the news and gossip, because there's really not a lot about the show. But I want to really bring in Cameron Monaghan back, and I want to bring in a lot of these other guys. So hopefully, you know, with your help, tweet them and say you should come on AfterBuzz, and that'll be more incentive for them. All the more.
And you know, we know that if you get one cast member like Jason Olive for better or
Right.
worse, you end up getting, you know, a second one, a third one, a fourth one. So yeah, definitely tweet all the cast members. You know, most of the people are always in Los Angeles at some point,
Right.
and
I mean, a little known. I mean, maybe you guys don't know, but they shoot, I believe, 3 days in Chicago and the rest here at the Warner Brothers lot.
What a job!
Oh.
What a great job! This show, the
We
characters.
gotta get him in here.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll bump into one in a restaurant and ask him to come on.
You should do that. Yeah,
I have good luck with
I
that.
really like the show, you guys. I think this is a good group of, you know, as far as us who will hopefully recap it. And I mean, the show is awesome. Definitely not what I expected.
Well, let's see what you do expect.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, I think Fiona is just so perfect. It's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing, and I'm not just talking about she's like the hottest chick on the planet. Like, we get that, you know, the whole thing. And there's a lot of sex scenes.
We get
There's
that.
There's all that. Okay, so but moving past that, I just think something. I feel like because she is the glue, there's got to be something this season that's gonna take her away from that. Just really distract her. If this guy comes in and whisks her off her feet or whatever, maybe that's something, or maybe that's just where I'd like to see it go. She's been tried at some point for the first season, like, oh, let's take you out of this life. She said, no, my family's there at the end. But wouldn't it be a very big what the heck kind of moment if maybe the two brothers have to step up now, maybe the younger daughter now? Like, I want to see. Not that I want to see, but my prediction is that Fiona is not going to be as perfect as she's been in the past. That would be like one thing. I think Kash will come back into Ian's life. I think Lip will just continuously do the most awesome, wild things. Like, his character is just so interesting. I don't know, how old is he in the show? Like 15 or 16, or does he play an older guy?
Ian?
Yeah.
Ian plays, he was 16 last season, so I believe he's around maybe 17.
Okay, so the brothers, they're close in age, right? They're just like a couple years
well,
apart.
Lip's college age.
Yeah.
So Lip's probably
Right.
like 19,
20 or something
20,
like
yeah.
that. Oh, okay. See, me and my brother are close in age too. So I do see that, like, brother.
That bond.
My brother and I are 3 years apart, and I would always say, "Oh yeah, we're like twins, except we're not twins." I mean, like, because you just have that bond. It's like, what's Ronnie doing? What's Richard doing? Ronnie, Richard, you know. And I thought they did a really good job at putting the two of them together as well. You know,
Yeah.
2 years apart or whatever. Anyhow.
Totally agree.
Spicy.
I don't have any huge predictions other than I do think that because Fiona is a woman, that she's going to be weak and fall back for Steve. If she's not going to fall back into a relationship with him, he's going to come back into this season, and she's going to at least hook up with him a few times. And once again, either realize that she can't be with him because he is a force that's pulling her away. You think that she's going to leave the family. I think that once again she's going to stay.
I don't think she'll leave all the way. I think she'll get some big temptation this season. She's just such a cool girl. Like, everyone likes her, and she's just, it's just, she does what it takes to make it, and she's working her job, and, she's an attractive girl. Guys are there to, like, take her places, and now she's got this new friend who's going to give her a whole different lifestyle, possibly. You said she's going to kind of draw her away. Something in there is going to make her not as good.
Question: When do we see Steve? I mean, it's the big. I
We're
think
not going to see him next episode.
I don't think so, because the big
No?
preview was where Fiona sees Steve, and it's that one big moment.
Yeah,
and I don't
have to
think
let us build first, like these new guys coming along that we don't like, and then we're going to see Steve.
Yeah, she's got to, like, bring him in, slay him, and
That's
put
true.
him- and
That's
put-
true. She's
and-
gonna hook up with a lot more dudes
and put 'em
But
out.
I definitely think that that Kusnak, what's her name?
who
Kusnak.
Joan Cusack.
Joan Gooseneck.
I don't know how to say.
Is that a new derogatory comment, or
Sheila.
what?
I think Sheila is going to become so comfortable with being in the outside world that it's not that she's going to see the real Frank. I think that she's going to realize that she's better than him. I don't think that she's going to completely continue to. I don't think that when she goes into the real world she's going to judge him, but I think that she's going to realize she doesn't need him. She can do better.
I think she's gonna have a fit when she finds out how wild Karen is, her own daughter. I think that's when she's really gonna wake up, and see.
I don't think she cares.
Oh, okay.
I don't, because I'm like.
Once again, she's shameless.
Phil, you don't have any predictions?
Well, my prediction is it's going to be a great season, and I know I'm going to predict episode 5 when Steve comes back.
Oh, okay.
I think we'll see Steve, but in terms of coming back to Chicago, or at least face to face with Fiona, and in terms of the Sheila thing, I think episode 3 she's gonna overcome everything and get to the bar.
And here's something to think about.
Have strength.
Here's something to think about. Marcy texted me. We were back and forth, and she said, just to think, because I was telling her it's crazy with the character. She goes, just to think, it's probably one writer in there that lived this exact life, if not similar. That's what we need to get into also in the future.
Yes, we gotta.
Someone who relates to it.
I want to get the showrunner on here.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
We should. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. Sorry we went a bit long, but hey, that's what happens when you own the network,
When
right?
You're shameless.
I thought he was going to say, that's what she said. Sorry, we went a big...
I know, if that's the benefit of running the show, I can do what I want, right, guys? I can go over, I can go shorter, whatever I want. But
He's a
hey, we
boss.
do it for you, and it was a especially long episode. We had all the characters.
We had to, yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll have more hosts in the coming weeks. So I may take a back seat for that, but nevertheless, the host that we have coming in will be equally as great, equally as passionate as Spicy. And Ronnie, thank you guys for joining me. Fans, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later. Shameless assholes.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.